Uh, Joe Scarborough was on Meet the Press yesterday, and I didn't see this, but it's reported by Mediaite. He said the only reason Republicans maintained control over the House in the 2012 elections just passed was gerrymandering. They have rigged it. The Republican legislatures in, 36 states or something now, 37 states that have Republican majorities. And how many states have Republican-controlled House, Senate, and governorship? So, yeah, and Scarborough, in a blazing moment of maturity, I'm serious when I say that Joe Scarborough is the type that reminds you of somebody, some grown-up man with arrested development around age 17, and he displays it every single morning on Morning Joe. But he was on Meet the Press, and he said the only reason Republicans maintain control of the House was gerrymandering from 2010 that gave the Republican Party, of which he's a member, the majority. Scarborough also admitted that he had made what he called a mistake the past month, talking about how the Republicans had won a majority of the House. See, this is what I mean. Scarborough, somebody must have pointed out to Scarborough, maybe somebody in his family pointed out to him, Joe, you've been sitting there for a month talking about how America really wanted to maintain split government, what have you, and you don't get it at all. That's not why the Republicans retain control of the House. It has to do with what Republicans always do. They rig the system any way they can. Provide 3 voting machines in a precinct where you know that 20 are needed. That's one way. Require a photo ID. That's another way. Voter registration cards were good forever. Good forever. But all of a sudden, because the immigrants and the Jews and the black folk and whoever, they all vote Democratic. So we have to cut back on the, you know how it goes. Jesus, God. Anyway, he'd been talking about how Republicans had won the majority of the House, and nobody had told him, apparently, or he's too stupid to know, and I think he's too stupid. And not stupid, he's ignorant. He's just an ignorant, grown-up boy. That's all. He's just ignorant. It's great fun to sit there and with Mika Brzezinski, because he can show off by bullying her every morning, show the rest of the other 5 guys on his program, 4 of whom I think are Republican, or not that it matters. It's just 5 jocks sitting around talking about stuff, and Mika Brzezinski, who occasionally tries to inject some sort of rational comment, and Joe Scarborough goes into his grown-up boy pout. The audacity of this woman to interject something. What are you saying that I'm, you've seen him do it. But he also said on Meet the Press that Americans want more than compromise at this moment. He said what they want is a vision for the Republican Party. Americans, I would say, Joe, that people like you, want a vision for the Republican Party. Americans just want you sons of bitches to walk off the stage and go away. You're screwing up everything. You're sinking the country for sport. So when Joe Scarborough says that what Americans want more than compromise is a vision for the Republican Party, oh, please. Oh, my God. He said, quote, the vision that Republicans have to speak to the middle class concerns. But Scarborough, the Republicans want to kill the middle class. What are you talking about? See, what he's talking about, he's talking about Democrats. Democrats have got to start, because they have had experience in addressing middle class or working poor. That's what the Democratic Party is about. Cohesion and organization and collectivism. That's what the Democratic Party is about. So Joe Scarborough is, I don't know, I guess he figured he was see, Meet the Press is not his show. So he had to come up with something that was not grown-up 17-year-old, and I guess he figured this was it. He also noted that it wasn't, quote, just about the debt, end quote, that Americans are concerned about Republicans, even though he said that was the issue that mattered to him most, personally. And he said the Republican Party has been getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, yeah, and until it's going to be like, Joe, you're old enough to remember when you used to turn off your television and the picture on the screen, the last picture on the screen would shrink down to a dot. And if you were stoned enough, you remember this, Joe, you smoked dope, you know what I'm talking about. If you were stoned enough, Scarborough, you could sit there and watch that dot get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and tiny. And then before you knew it, it'd be gone. That's what's happening to your Republican Party, Joe. And he said that there are actually conservative thinkers in the Republican Party who think Ronald Reagan was a rhino, a Republican in name only. Because, St. Reagan supported an assault weapons ban. He raised taxes. When they bring up Ronald Reagan, they're bringing up the iconic Ronald Reagan, the movie star Ronald Reagan, not the Ronald Reagan who was a politician. But don't tell Scarborough that. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Keep it lit. I'm Mike Malloy.